So many speculations about so many things connected to the pregnancy. Where is she going to have the baby? How is she going to have the baby? Who's going to be there on the actual day?
Yeah.
Do we know any of these answers?
Yeah, do you know what? We do know some of the answers about this baby and how it's going to be delivered. We're told that the Queen's medical team are not going to be in the room, in the actual delivery room. And actually, there is a chance that it could be a home birth. I was told back in November from friends close to Meghan that she had hoped for a home birth. It's what she'd really set her sights on. And she's very much into her holistic treatments. She's very much into her alternative health. So the idea of a home birth and a natural birth, I think, is very synonymous with everything that Meghan is. Whether or not she gets to have her home birth is another matter. At 37, this is considered a geriatric pregnancy. My hunch is it will probably end up being in a hospital. And given that they're in Windsor, I would say Frimley Park, which is an NHS hospital in Windsor, is a pretty good bet. But we do know that she doesn't want the men in grey suits in that delivery room. She's chosen her own obstetrician. We understand it's a woman. She's got her own medical team on standby, but the Queen's doctors will be there in case of an emergency.
When you say her own team, she's recent to this country. She won't have built up the relationships of having all those people around her. So it's her new team, but her team. Why has she chosen to go down that route rather than the traditional route that the previous royals have chosen?
Well, I think everything we've seen from the Duchess of Sussex is that she is not traditional in what we expect of the royal family. So it doesn't come as any surprise to me that she doesn't want the men in grey suits delivering her baby. This is a woman with 37 years of experience. She's very opinionated. She knows her own mind. She knows what works for her, and she's handpicked her own team. We don't know who this obstetrician is. My bet is it's a woman, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was an American.
The dichotomy constantly is Meghan wanting to do her own things, but she's also married to a senior royal.
Yes.
And when does that kick in, where the weight of the royals behind Harry will say, enough, we have to do certain things in certain ways, even if it's for the safety of the child?
Listen, I think Meghan understood from the outset that she was marrying into the oldest institution on the planet, the 1,000-year-old House of Windsor. She wasn't going to rock the boat too much. She's been allowed to do a lot her own way. But I think you have to remember that Prince Harry is also a traditionalist. So, you see these crazy stories that they're going to want to call their kid Apple or Peaches or Sky. Harry's just not going to go down that route. But in terms of perhaps having an alternative royal birth, possibly a home birth, certainly a private birth, which is what they said they wanted. It is a bit of a breach of tradition, but it's not one that is being resisted at the palace. And don't forget, the Queen had all of her children, either at Buckingham Palace or at Clarence House. In those days, royal births were very private. This idea of a big staged photo call outside the hospital is a relatively new phenomenon.
Is it true that she isn't going to do that photo call? Wherever it is.
It is true that she's not going to pose with Harry outside the hospital. That much we have been told. I've spoken to palace sources who say that we will get a photo opportunity. That will probably be a day after the birth, or whenever the Duchess is feeling fit and well enough to stand up, present her baby to the world, and that will be a photo opportunity, we are told, in Windsor. So you are going to get that picture of the three of them. You're just not going to get it outside the hospital.
And do you think this is one of the plans for her Instagram or his Instagram account to channel her power and control that way and put her picture up there when she's happy with?
Well, I think the timing of Instagram, I think the timing of them opening their Instagram account was really interesting, because they were technically on, maternity leave. They weren't working, and yet there was the launch of a really important social media account that's just juggernauted and attracted millions of followers overnight. So that's led to a lot of speculation that actually the first we might see of this baby, it could possibly be on Instagram. You need to be glued to that account, but you are also going to get the traditional photo call. And I think it goes back to that point you were making about that marriage between traditionalism and the modern monarchy. So yes, very likely we'll see something on Instagram, but you're going to get that staged photo call as well.
It's almost impossible to know, but have you got any indication of what sex, what gender the baby will be?
Well, there were reports out of Meghan's baby shower that she had told friends there that she was expecting a boy. That said, everything about that baby shower, from what I saw, was pink and perhaps suggested a girl, although we know they're going to be, very relaxed when it comes to the gender of the baby and how they raise this baby. I think there is every chance, if it's a girl, that they will reflect Diana, possibly somewhere in that name. I think we probably will see them perhaps be a little bit away from the traditional royal names, the Victorias, the Elizabeths. Who knows? Really, I think it's going to be a sort of happy pairing of Harry's traditionalism, Meghan's Americanism, and something perhaps a bit different.
Do you think Diana could possibly be the name? Because that's such an expectation for that little girl going forward from the nation and the world.
It's possible. And when you look at what Harry's done since his mother has died, everything Harry has done has been to remember Diana, the charity work that he does. It's all been about continuing his mother's legacy. You know, the rings in Meghan's engagement rings are Diana's diamonds. So I don't think it's at all improbable that they would use the name Diana. Possibly not as a first name, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. And of course, it's what William and Kate chose to do with Princess Charlotte. It's one of her middle names. What
about if it's a boy?
If it's a boy, I've heard Harry is a fan of Bertie, and Albert actually is a traditional royal name. So you might see that reflected. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they wanted to perhaps bring Charles or Philip in as one of the middle names, but they might just go for a Christian name that they just like, rather than one that is traditionally royal.
If you love that video, you're going to love everything on the Access YouTube channel. So hit the subscribe button. You can thank me later. Hit it. Now. Thanks.